MSE, the Director General of Standardizations of Environment and Forestry Instrument from the Ministry of Environment and Forestry, Mr. Oke Nurwan from the Directorate General Domestic Trade, Ministry of Trade, Mr. Wisnu Lombardwinanto from the Directorate General of Multilateral Cooperations, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Dr. Robert Nasi, the Director General of CIFOR and the Managing Director of CIFOR-ICRAF, Mr. Bandung Sahari from Indonesia Palm Oil Business Association, GAPKI. We also would like to extend or welcome gratitude to Trade Hub partners, Professor Neil Burgess, Principal Investigator of GCRF Trade Hub and the Chief Scientist of UNEP-WCMC. Also Professor Arif Satria, Rector of IPB University, Trade Hub Research Team from IPB University and the University of Indonesia, but also the co-host of this event along with CIFOR-ICRAF, and our distinguished guests and speakers. The high-level policy dialogue today, 30 August 2022, at Borobudur Hotel as well as online via Zoom is a part of the Trade Hub research in Indonesia. The research is supported by the UK Research and Innovation Global Challenges Research Fund, UKRI, GCRF. At the global level, the research is led by the United Nations Environment Programme, World Conservation and Monitoring Center, UNEP-WCMC. In Indonesia, the research is led by CIFOR-ICRAF. Today, Policy Dialogue is a platform to discuss issues and potential solutions to Indonesian palm oil trade in light of global food and energy crisis. We hope to encourage deeper understanding of recent phenomenon and complexity in the palm oil trade, to discuss strategies for dealing with global challenges, and to disseminate research findings. We will have opening session, 3 sessions of a talk show, a wrap-up, and a roundtable discussion planning. We have translation services for those attending online as well as offline. And before we begin, I invite you to sing the national anthem of Indonesia Raya. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. You may be seated. Now, without further ado, please welcome Professor Herry Purnomo, the Deputy Director of CIFOR-ICRAF Indonesia Country Program and also Professor from IPB University, to present introduction to the project.
Thank you, Mbak Dia Puspitaloka. Good morning, everyone. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thanks for this opportunity. I would like to introduce the project of Trade Hub. So this introduction to the project result. So the project has been running for 3 years, I believe, and would like to highlight several results from the project. Next, please. So this is about the Trade Hub. So the Trade Hub aims to deliver benefits, how the global trade is able to deliver benefits to the environment as well as local community. So sometimes global trade is not good, but the Trade Hub projects try to make it happen, delivering benefit for the landscape, greening the landscape as well as the local community. It was funded by UKRI, the United Kingdom, under the program called Global Challenge Research Fund, led by UNEP, UN Environment Program, WCMC, based in Cambridge. So I travel quite a lot from Jakarta to Cambridge and London. It is the hub, the project, the Trade Hub consists of 50 organizations based in 15 countries and 5 partners in Indonesia. This huge partnership, quite complicated. So we get funding around 20 million pound sterling. And this running for 5 years, from 2019 until 2024. So we still have 2 years to go. And in Indonesia, we concern on the 3 very strategic commodities: palm oil, coffee, and wildlife trade. Yeah. Palm oil and palm oil. It's very, very lucrative business, also challenging. Next, please. So this the example of result. So we did a systematic review for hundred of journal articles to understand actually the palm oil economy and trade how they influence the sustainability of palm oil. So we try to understand the structures, trade, institution, actor, and technical economy, how they influence palm oil sustainability as well as livelihood. So we, from the many publications, we understand several variables for each component here. Next, please. This is the variable for each component. For instance, if we understand trade, it is about international demand, domestic consumption, competition, for instance. See, market preferences, supply and supply chains, and others. So this is coming from systematic review from more than 200 journal articles from the reputable publication, as well as sustainability. What indicate the sustainability of palm oil, as well as the farmer livelihood. And then, next please. And then we try to connect, connect between trade, technical economy, structure like climate change, like the demography, institution, actor, with sustainability and livelihood. For instance, here I think it's quite interesting. So after we did a systematic review, we tried to interview from more than 200 respondents how you define sustainability. Based on our finding, there are 6 indicators of sustainability, but according to you, how to define? And here, there are 2 indicators, the most important indicator for sustainability. First is employment. If we talk about the palm oil sustainability, it is about employment. And the second one is equally important, is no deforestation. So there is no palm oil sustainability without employment, without achieving no deforestation. And then we try to understand what the most important factor of trade here, the most important factor for trade, and maybe quite surprising, the most important factor for trade is green buyers. green behavior of buyers. So there is no good trade in the world of palm oil if there is no green buyer. In Indonesia, particularly outside Indonesia. So it is the most important. So sometimes we achieve the sustainable palm oil is through advocating to the producers. In fact, from our study, actually, we have to provocate the buyers, how they only consume the good palm oil, the sustainable palm oil. And I understand yesterday from Pak Agus, only 19% of palm oil in the world are SPO certified. 19%, less than 20%. So the 80% is not yet certified. Is correct, Irene? Okay, thank you. Okay, so this is the structure and actors as well as the technical economy. So technical economy, how to fertilize, most likely improving the livelihood of the farmers. If you're talking about the improving the livelihood of smallholder, it is more on the technical economy. But if we talk about sustainability, that's actor. There's actor improving, influencing a lot the sustainability. And government is the most important actor here. Okay, next please. And this is the detail for each indicator for that connection, the sustainability of oil palm connected to the global trade. This is an example of our result, and it is being submitted to the Journal of Forest Policy and Economic. Hopefully will be published quite soon. Next, please. This is another output. We call it palm oil trade and landscape simulation. So we try to understand the palm oil supply chains from plantation. Plantation is developed sometimes from non-forest land, but still some actually coming from forested area. Going to plantation, and the FFB going to mills, CPO to refinery, domestic market, and also to global market. And then we try to simulate actually what the impact of the coming UK forest risk community as well as the EU deforestation free product. What the impact of the new law from UK and the EU, particularly in local landscape and local economy. So we try to understand the impact to the value added, government income, FFB, CPO, PKO, as well as employment, biodiversity, and also CO2 emission. So what the impact of those kind of law from UK and EU to the emission from the local landscape. Next, please. So we use Kota Waringin Barat in Central Kalimantan as a case study. For example, what the impact of economic and environmental trade-off between BAU, business as usual, and the UK law. That's the impact. So it's able to reduce the deforestation, but the produce for CPO and PKO will also reduce. And the palm oil economy will also reduce. So when we implement the UK law, so the palm oil economy in Kota Waringin Barat will be reduced. Because what? Because some of new plantation actually coming from the forested area. Next, please. Almost the same thing if we simulate the EU deforestation free product. Also the coming law from the EU, call it EU deforestation free product. More or less the same thing, able to reduce the deforestation, but the cost of the reducing palm oil economy at that kabupaten, at that district. Next, please. And of course, as scientists, we are able to run several scenarios, how to compensate, of reducing the economy. But the important thing is, can carbon tax able to compensate? So no, if the price of carbon tax only $2 per ton CO2, it's very low. This is what Ibu Sri Mulyani mentioned, $2. But if we able to increase until $30, maybe. Can we compensate with payment for environmental services? It's quite difficult still. The only way is to increase the price of CPO, the green premium, the price premium. So it's good for reduced deforestation, but there is a green premium. We have to bear it. We have to compensate. So this is just to provide insight from our friends in EU and UK. If you endorse that kind of law, will reduce the economy. The question how to compensate the reducing of economy because of this kind of law. So it need to be discussion, be more inclusive in issuing this kind of law. Next, please. So this is like a summary. So how to make steel, this is a business as useful. Currently the economy of palm oil is very high. But if you implement this kind of law, green deals, UK from EU will be lowering the economy of palm oil in this district unless you have to increase the premium price of palm oil. So it will compensate. So we need to again discuss how to compensate of reducing deforestation. For instance, we understand my study, Indonesian-wide, the CO2 emission from palm oil is around 300 million tons CO2 per year. Indonesian-wide. For Kota Waringin Barat is around 2 or 3 million CO2 per year in that district. For instance, if carbon tax is promising, but the price need to be much higher than now. But the question, are we going able to do that? Even coal mining is quite difficult. I don't know in palm oil sector. Next, please. Okay, this is the example of our result beside others. So today we'll have the second high-level palm oil policy dialogue. Hopefully we can understand how the road of palm oil sustainability, because now it's challenging, facing very, very difficult situation because of the food crisis, because of the energy crisis, because of the climate crisis. Are we still going to reach the sustainable palm oil, or we give up because of food crisis, because of people suffering, because the price of cooking oil is very, very high? What to do next with the roadmap of palm oil sustainability? I think that's all what I can share with you guys. And again, thanks a lot for joining us. Hope you enjoy the dialogue. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much, Professor Herry Purnomo, for a very interesting research finding from the Trade Hub Indonesia research. Now I would like to welcome Professor Arif Satria, Rector of IPB University, to deliver a welcome remark.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of IPB University, I would like to extend a great appreciation and warm greeting to the esteemed Chairman of National Research and Innovation Agency BRIN, Pak Trihandoko, Dr. Robert Nasi, Director General of CIFOR, and Bapak Arif Sudijanto, Chairman of Standardization of Environment and Forestry Instrument, Ministry of Environment and Forestry, Ibu Musdhalifah Mahmood, Deputy Minister of Food and Agribusiness, Coordinating Ministry of Economic Affairs, and Principal Investigator of GCRF Trade Hub and Chief Scientist of UNEP-WCMC, Professor Dr. Burgess, and representative from Palm Oil Business Association, GAPKI, our speaker, representative from government agencies, Prof. Herry, Purnomo, and all academics, academicians, researchers, and participants. First of all, please allow me to extend my sincere gratitude and warm greetings to all of you. I'm very pleased to be here this morning to represent IBB University in this GCRF Trade Hub high-level policy dialogue. It is my pleasure to be able to meet you virtually to deliver my welcome remarks, and hope you are all in good health. Palm oil has been widely considered the single largest traded vegetable oil commodity in the world for decades, and so far palm oil has been the most traded and widely used as cooking oil, as well as in products ranging from cosmetics to cookies and bread to biofuel. The worst demand for palm oil is constantly high most of the time, based on BPS, Indonesian Statistics Agency. Even the peak of the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020, palm oil is one of the products that are still growing in value, rising around 13% from 2019, accumulating an amount around 22 billion US dollar. In 2020, BPS also noted that palm oil plantation in Indonesia reached 14.5 million hectares, produced more than 44 million tons of palm oil. The plantation also involving more than 16 million workers and farmers, according to Bappenas in 2018. However, many institutions predicted that the world would face a challenging time and more uncertainty in this year. In 2022, developing countries are facing multiple challenges, from war to surging food and energy prices, and also impacts of climate change. Since 2021, consumer prices have consistently risen faster than widely expected, although global food prices have stabilized in recent months, but remain much higher than in 2021. In Indonesia, the soaring price of cooking oil and the shortage of supply from December 2021 stabilized in the second quarter of 2022. In addition, the war in Ukraine continues, causing widespread hardship that affects the food and energy supply chain. We are also facing extreme weather that is now becoming common as the world warms. These multiple crises are interrelated, making them complex and requiring an integral and comprehensive solution to deal with this crisis. IBB University, through the three dharma of higher education, research, and community service, plus business and innovation, will continue to contribute according to our core competence, expertise, and research agenda. Nowadays, IBB involved in several international research consortia, in which the Trade Hub is one of them, in the field of research related to palm oil commodities to answer the local and global challenge as stated in the Sustainable Development Goals. IBB University is currently implementing research agenda on Agro-Maritime 4.0 to address the current challenges on the twin transitions, namely green and digital new deals. As an example, IBB is developing smart farming innovation and technology in oil palm plantation through the application of Presi Palm, which is a system that is able to provide recommendation of NPK fertilization for oil palm via satellite image. Oil farmers can indicate soil and plant fertility by looking at the mathematical model using color band on satellite image. And I think it is very good to increase the efficiency to 20 until 30%. Ladies and gentlemen, we realize that the oil palm industry is facing increasing domestic and global challenges related to trade, social and economics, and sustainability issues. These challenges are often very complex to tackle. Through its long-standing involvement in various research consortia in this issue with well-known institutions worldwide, for example, CRC 990, in collaboration with the University of Göttingen, and also Living Lab on Sustainable Palm Oil Production and Vegetable Oil Comparative Study, both in collaboration with Wageningen University and Research, and also engagement with many private sectors and local government. IBB University has attempted to generate and provide the transdisciplinary knowledge, innovation, and development of sustainable palm oil practice in dealing with the crisis amidst the information overload regarding the sustainability of palm oil. Ladies and gentlemen, the policy dialogue with the theme palm oil and environmental sustainability sustainability, facing food, climate, and energy crisis is an excellent forum for those who are involved and concerned about oil palm in terms of policy, trade, and agricultural practice and its impact to the environment and the community. We hope that this dialogue can pull all knowledge and perspective regarding the phenomena that have recently occurred with various complexities and uncertainties. The knowledge can then be used by stakeholders in formulating policies, in facing various challenges in the future. For the reason, I believe this policy dialogue will be an important forum for sharing new perspective on palm oil and sustainability, as well as during the crisis. Also an effective forum for exchanging knowledge and the latest development among stakeholders on local, regional, and global scale. Ladies and gentlemen, finally, I appreciate CIFOR with partner under the Trade Development and Environment Hub, Trade Hub, a global research consortium led by the UN Environment Programme with Consortium Monitoring Center, UNEP-WCMC, and supported by UK Research and Innovation Global Challenges Research Fund. And hopefully this event will generate new perspective for strengthening the sustainable development agenda relating to understanding complexities of challenges and to potential solutions for sustainable palm oil trade. Finally, I hope you are all having a productive discussion in this dialogue. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much, Professor Arif Satria, for the welcome remark. Ladies and gentlemen, now please welcome Dr. Robert Nasi, Director General of CIFOR and Managing Director of CIFOR-ICRAF, to deliver a welcome remark.
Thank you, Sonia, and good morning, everybody. Thank you for being here in this palm oil and environmental sustainability facing food, climate, and energy crisis dialogue. Thank you very much, Professor Dr. Arif Satria, Director of IPB University. Also, I would like to thank Dr. Mustafa Mahmood, the Deputy Director of Food and Agribusiness on the Coordinating Ministry of Economic Affairs, Dr. Mego Pinandito, the Deputy of Development Affairs on the Research and Innovation Agency for Indonesia, Mr. Herry Sudijanto, the Director General of the Agency for Standardization of Environmental and Forestry Instrument from the Ministry of Environment and Forest, and the various representatives from the Directorate of General Domestic Trade, Ministry of Trade, Mr. OK Nowan, from the Directorate General of Multilateral Cooperation, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Mr. Lombardi Winanto, the representative of the private sector and the Indonesia Palm Oil Business Association, GAPKI, and of course our colleagues from the Trade Hub project, Burgess, the principal investigator, and all the people and the research team in both CIFOR-ICRAF, IPB University Indonesia, and are very much welcome speaker. The whole issue of palm oil is a bit of a very specific one in the commodity trade discourse. Palm oil is a commodity that is traded by only a few countries finally. You have two countries that are producing 85% of the oil palm in the world, that is Indonesia and Malaysia. And you have something like 5 countries that buy 80% of, 5 countries or groups that buy 80% of the production. And this is China, India, the European Union, Pakistan, and yeah, that's about that. And within the EC, I mean, sort of the Netherlands, Italy, and Spain are buying something like 50% of the oil palm that is imported by the European Union. So it's a very specific trade. It's not like cocoa or coffee, where a lot of countries are producing cocoa and coffee, and a lot of countries are buying cocoa and coffee. So this is a peculiarity of the trade. Another one also, it's related to the quality of the plant. Palm oil, or oil palm is a very good product. I mean, it's a very versatile product, and people like it, and as a result, people buy it, and there is no real substitute. At the same time, the agronomy, the plant is one of the most productive in the sector. So with 1 hectare of oil palm, you can produce much more oil than if you had 1 hectare of groundnut or soybean or sunflower. And so as long as there is a demand for cooking oil, I mean, palm oil is a reasonably logical answer to the demand. I mean, it's sort of, because if we wanted to answer the demand with other type of vegetable oil, then we will need much bigger area. And that is not something that we, so there is no simplistic solution on the complex problem of palm oil or sustainability. Anything that is a ban on oil palm consumption in the consumer country is not going to bring a solution to the problem. And you can see with the current crisis and the scarcity created by the Russia and Ukraine war, that some of the corporate or companies that say, oh, we are going to ban all products that are contained oil palm, they are obliged to backtrack and they say, yeah, finally, we are going to use this because there is nothing else. And so unless we address this whole question of sustainability, looking at the three pillars, both environmental, yes, but economic, social sustainability, I mean, we are not going to bring any long-term solution to the question of sustainability. And it's true that a lot of palm oil plantations have been established in deforested area, because remember that palm oil, or the oil palm, is a plant that grows in rainforest, I mean, originally in the Guinea-Congolese rainforest. I mean, so it's a non-timber forest product that has been mostly extracted and improved and then end up with the large plantation that we see today. But this is also true for many other commodities, and so I don't think that there is any single agricultural commodity that has not been developed at the expense of natural environment. So this is where we are. I mean, and palm oil palm is going to stay and is going to be important. So the importance of such a dialogue is even more critical now, because how are we going to make sure that the future oil palm production and is going to be developed sustainably, not at the expense of primary forest? Are we going to be sure that the current production will fit into the various legislation that are developed, and at the same time continue to provide the socio-economic benefit that it has provided in producing country? How are we going to make sure that any new development in terms of palm oil or oil palm plantation will occur in places outside of the two main producing countries, Indonesia and Malaysia? So all these questions that I hope will be addressed during this policy dialogue, and I'm sure that we don't have necessarily all the answer, but asking the right question is very much often the beginning of reaching a good solution. So I'm very much looking forward to the dialogue. Thanks again to all the people that are participating physically and online, and looking forward to hearing what is going to be said and answered to the various questions, fundamental questions that are posed by this question, by this oil palm and palm oil trade and sustainability issue. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Robert Nasi. Ladies and gentlemen, now please welcome Professor Neil Burgess. He is the Principal Investigator of GCRF Trade Hub and Chief Scientist of UNEP-WCMC to deliver a welcome remark.
Good day. My name is Neil Burgess. I'm the Principal Investigator of the GCRF Trade Hub, which is funded by the UK government and involves a variety of countries spanning Brazil, Central African countries, Tanzania, Indonesia and China. The Trade Hub is being set up to tackle the issues of agricultural commodity supply chains and wildlife trade, with the intention of seeking solutions and delivering better and more sustainable trade flows around the world. I've been invited to this meeting, organised by CIFOR, IPB University and the University of Indonesia, to offer some opening remarks, which I'm pleased to do from a woodland in western UK, in Wales, where I'm spending a few days because it's a national holiday here in the UK. So firstly, I'd like to say a few things about the Trade Hub, which is a global initiative. The aim is to help countries and businesses and smallholder farmers to find solutions to the challenges posed by international trade in relation to sustainability in terms of their livelihoods, but also the impacts of trade on climate change issues and global biodiversity, nature conservation issues. So with the focus on Indonesia and oil palm in particular, the country team has, I know, been working extremely hard on how to make oil palm production systems more sustainable and propose solutions to the Indonesia government and to Indonesia-based and global supply chain actors, working with the oil palm supply chain between Indonesia and user countries. So a few things I would like to say about oil palm. I mean, firstly, it's part of the global food supply chain and is essential really to maintaining food supply and food security to many millions of people. We see this particularly in light now of the crises in countries like Ukraine, which were supplying a lot of wheat and also sunflower oil. So now oil from oil palm will become an even more important part of the global food supply chain. So that, I think, is very much important to bear in mind. This key role in global food security also means that the policy environment where oil palm production operates considers, the interests of smallholder farmers, the Indonesian government and the state of Indonesia, but also the needs of many other countries and global environmental and climate change and food security agreements, policies of the World Trade Organization, etc. So it's truly a global issue. So one of the challenges that oil palm production faces, taken from the lens of climate change and nature conservation, is that historically there has been a significant amount of forest loss in Indonesia to convert natural forests to oil palm plantations. This forest loss has resulted in emissions of greenhouse gases and also loss of species diversity from Indonesia, with Indonesia being a country with some of the largest areas of remaining natural forest and also the highest biodiversity values of any country on Earth. So Indonesia's responsibilities there are really quite large. What's happening a bit now on the global policy frameworks is that trading blocs like the EU, European Union, and countries like the UK are beginning to set up zero deforestation supply chain commitments. Now, these laws and regulations will mean that there'll be a requirement on businesses operating out of the EU and the UK to ensure that there is no deforestation embedded in the commodities that they're importing into these markets. I think this may have an interesting and policy impact in producer countries, which could be positive for nature and climate, but may also be negative in terms of smallholder farmers and incomes for some parts of the supply chain. So I think that's a really interesting and important development that's happening now. I know that Indonesia is having significant debates about all of these issues, and today you have a high-level event discussing these matters and others in relation to the oil palm supply chain. So from me, as the principal investigator of the Trade Hub, I wish you extremely well with this meeting. I'm very, very interested to hear what comes out from it,
and to learn the outcomes from your debates, and also to see how you proposing to tackle the issues in relation to sustainable oil palm production, the challenges of climate change, the challenges of global food security, the challenges of smallholder farmer livelihoods, income for the Indonesian state, and
Thank you very much, Professor Neil Burgess. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to remind you that the committee provide a translation services for those who are attending offline. You can obtain the device at the registration table or contact the committee. And now, please welcome Mr. Arif Sudijanto, MSE, Head of Agency for Standardizations of Environment and Forestry Instrument, from the Ministry of Environment and Forestry Indonesia, to deliver an opening remark. Mr. Arif Sudijanto.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning to all of you. Excellencies, distinguished guests, Ibu Dr. Musdhalifah Mahmood, Deputy Minister of Food and Agribusiness, Coordinating Ministry of Economic Affairs Indonesia, Bapak Dr. Laksana Handoko, Head of National Research and Innovation Agency, BRIN, or his representative, Professor Arif Satria, Rector of IPB University, Bapak Dr. Sudijanto, Director General of Sustainable Forest Management, Ministry of Environment and Forestry, or his representative, representative from Director General of Domestic Trade, Ministry of Trade, representative of Director General of Multilateral Cooperation, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Dr. Nasi, Director General of CIFOR, Managing Director CIFOR-ICRAF, Professor Neil Burgess, Principal Investigator of GCRF Trade Hub and Chief Scientist of UNEP-WCMC, Professor Herry Purnomo, Indonesia Country Director of CIFOR-ICRAF, representative from University of Indonesia, and all invited speakers, panelists, and participants from business and farmer association, university, NGO, GSOs, and international organizations. Firstly, I would like to apologize for could not be able to join physically, since I have to attend the third Environmental Deputy Minister on Climate Sustainability Working Group in Bali. However, I am very grateful to have opportunity to give an opening remarks on this policy dialogue, in which we will discuss on palm oil and environmental sustainability, especially in light of current global crisis on food, energy, and also climate. The Indonesian government takes measures to improve oil palm governance, including regulatory and law enforcement reforms, bureaucratic institution reform, moratorium, and auditing of permits, land tenure conflict resolution, particularly for the case of palm oil plantation developed inside the state forest area, land intensification, capacity building of farmers, and corporate and control of environmental pollution and degradation. On one side, we think economic benefit, and on the other hand, we also should pay high attention to enhance environmental quality, such low emission policy and the practices. Therefore, palm oil business standard would be prominent to achieve sustainable environment, while palm oil business will be carried. The Ministry of Environment and Forestry nowadays focus on solving some problems that have been occurring since some decades ago, with the expansion of palm oil plantation in state forests, which is not procedural and unlawful. Practice of expansive, monocultural, unprocedural palm oil plantation inside forest estate have created problems of ecology, hydrology, and also social that should be solved. Distinguished guest participants, The Agency for Standardization of Environment and Forestry Instrument, Ministry of Environment and Forestry, has strong focus on supporting the implementation of sustainable development and ensuring forest sustainability, environmental health, and community welfare in the utilization of natural forest resources. For this environmental standard for safeguarding negative impact of development plays important roles. The environmental standards are also important for transparency and traceability process of the development activities. The implementation of environmental and forestry standards is a continuous process. Environmental and social dynamics sometimes unpredictable. However, the Ministry of Environment and Forestry always push for improvement and effort for ensuring the development process is not jeopardizing the nature, and the effort for ensuring the role of the Agency for the Standardization and Environment is designed to work on aspects of standard production, implementation of standard, supervision, and also control of standard to support and ensure the sustainability of responsible production, business, and consumption can be achieved. Standard will be controlling activities or business which has been impact either environment or forest cover, be implemented internalizing on each business process. Agency for Standardization and of Environment and Forestry Instrument has the task of coordinating and formulating, developing, and also implementing the standard, and assessing the conformity of instrument standard in the environmental and forestry sectors. And it's supported by 4 standardization instrument centers, which cover aspects of environmental quality, sustainable forest management, ecological disaster resilience, and climate change, as well as facilitating the application of environmental and forestry instrument standards. The agency's scope of work is not only to build standards, but also to ensure that the standards that have been built are implemented by the relevant stakeholders. Today's dialogue hopefully can provide insight and recommendation on how environmental sustainability can be incorporated into various implementation standards in the development sectors, especially nowadays when facing various challenges, such as example to address climate crisis that is linked closely with the effort of low-emission development practices, where implementation standard and instrument is needed to ensure the sustainable practices. I wish you all a great and fruitful discussion. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much, Mr. Arif Sudijanto, MSE. Now please welcome the Head of Indonesia Research and Innovation Agency, represented by the Deputy of Development Affairs, Mr. Mego Pinandito. Mr. Mego, please, the floor is yours.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Honorable, distinguished Ibu Dr. Musdhalifah, the Deputy Minister for the Coordinating for the Food and Agribusiness, the Coordinating Ministry of the Economic Affairs of the Republic of Indonesia, Professor Dr. Robert Nasi, the Director General for the CIFOR, Professor Dr. Arif Satria, Rector of the IPB University, Professor Dr. Burgess, the Principal Investigator for the GCRF Trade Hub and the Chief Scientist of the UNEP-WCMC, and of course, Mr. Joko Supriyono, the Chairman of the Palm Oil Business Association, GAPKI, Honorable invited speakers, moderators, representatives for the government agencies, business association, and also the universities and private sector. Distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning for all of the participants. First of all, on behalf of the National Research and Innovation Agency, the Republic of Indonesia, I would like to express my gratitude, and of course, apologies from the chairman and to the organizing committee, the CIFOR, IPB, and also Indonesian University, who have inviting us, the BRIN, for the opening remarks of the very prestigious event, the GCRF Trade Hub high-level policy dialogue, especially with the palm oil and also environmental sustainability, facing food, climate, and also energy crisis. Excellencies, honorable speakers, and so on. The current world situation represents the great challenges related to the food and agriculture, energy and its prices, and of course, as well as the climate change, which has the huge impact on the people livelihood around the world. So Indonesia, as the world's largest producer of the CPO, may play an important role to overcome, to tackle the challenges, as well as to look at the opportunities in the smart thinking and also systematic manner. In this event, innovators, researchers, and also scientists, academia, and also the industry will share the latest discovery in the field of the science and technology and innovation by providing the strong knowledge and also basis with the confidence that their work are built on the sound understanding of the global issues. We know that we are now facing with the food, climate change, and also the energy crisis at the same time. This event is anticipated to be important forum for the representative for the government agencies, business association, also the private sectors, as well as the practitioners, the NGO, academics, and also the researchers. As this is the event or the platform to promote the frontier innovation toward the palm oil, as well as the sustainable development goals and also the climate change mitigation itself. With the several situations, especially in the urban and also the rural area, we know that several challenges like the infrastructure, the farmer and the livelihood situation has also different challenges. So it is not possible to be solved only by the government, but also we need to collaboration. We need to get more support from all of the elements. So I think the government, including the local government, and also academia, industry, and partner and social society, of course, it needs some of the support and also different perspective into the what we have done and support for these farmers in the village, in the urban area, especially from the global collaborations and engagements such as the innovation technology and several purchases. I think the oil plantation and result of the CPO's products, the benefit for example, to the countries, to the Indonesia, requires really a good in quality, good and supporting clear from the what we call the plantation itself, and of course the environmentally sustainable management. So I think even very small, but of course we need to support the small holders, oil palm farmers in the rural area. BRIN, as the government institution focused on the research and innovation in Indonesia, we have many various research innovation that produce, for example, the policy, the regulation related to the palm oil plantation and also the CPO productions. It is also, there is many technology to increase the crops productivity, the developing the superior seeds that we need by the plantation and also pest and disease control. and also how to make more and more efficient and high productivity in the CPO processing technology, including how to put more in added value in the product with the CPO. The other things related to the how to use the remote sensing, the big data, and also the simulation and so on are very important to monitor the oil and also the oil palm plantation and also during the harvest. I think the innovation research for the sustainable production of the CPO are also linked with the what we call the friendly for the sustainable environment system. Please let us share some BRIN support for this area and some strategies, for example, to support the evidence-based policy, synergy, cooperation with the private and also independent research institute, ministries, and also with the university in doing the policy recommendation and also research regarding to this issue. And the second one, we are open the platform and strategy, the collaboration with the various parties, utilization to use the BRIN resources, the laboratories, the research infrastructures, that is including analytic laboratories, the testing laboratory, and so on. And of course, the collaboration between research and also existing networking to strengthen the competencies, the accumulation of the knowledge itself, and experiences, of course, to increase the what we call the utilization of the available facility and equipment, not only in BRIN, but also almost of the university itself. The other thing is the facilitation and funding for the innovation research are open to all of the participants or field regarding to the national planning for the research innovation and also linked with the national research priority in supporting, of course, especially with the palm oil and also how to make sure that the palm oil and environmentally sustainability can be achieved. Of course, and also it is including the use of research that have been protected by IPR, the patent and so on, and together with the business partnership, industry and the community. Concerning to our improve to the global engagement starting this year, I think some are already been done in last year. We have the established scheme in the how to call the promoting of the research mobility, the visiting professorships coming from our partner in the global, visiting researcher, and also with the postdoc fellowships. I think this is also the PhD by research are partnering with the local and also the foreign university. All schemes are also open with everyone. So of course, we are also encourage the research for the palm oil plantation and CPO production to participate in this program. And the other things, we know that the national and international research collaboration are very important. So through the various cooperation scheme in combination with international research funding mechanism like UKRI and also the several scheme support by the international collaboration partner, we are also to improve our capacity to support the global engagement and collaboration in research, science, technology, and innovation. So with support of BRIN, we hope that together with the independent research institution, universities, private research activities, we hope that some support again from the ministry and the agency, we can continue the advanced innovation research for palm oil and also increase it in the future. We are also encouraged to interact more and more with the invited speaker today and also the presenters, participants in this event in strengthening the international collaboration and networking. And also hopefully decide not only for the update, but also to share the knowledge, the experience, and also to how to tackle, how to overcome the challenges in the future. And to conclude my remarks, I would like to again to stress the important roles of Indonesia in collaboration in addressing the challenges through the science, technology, and innovation. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Ladies and gentlemen, as we wait, I would like to welcome Mr. Bandung Sahari, representative from the Palm Oil Business Association, GAPKI, to deliver a keynote speech on the role of private sector for sustainable palm oil global trade. Dr. Bandung Sahari, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Your Excellency, Dr. Musdhalifah Mahmood, Deputy Director of Food and Agribusiness Coordinating Ministry of Economic Affairs, Indonesia, and Professor Herry Purnomo, Deputy Director, CIFOR, and Dr. Nasi, Director General of CIFOR, and Dr. Arif Satria, Professor Dr. Arif Satria, Rector of IPB University, and Professor Dr. Burgess, Principal Investigator for GCRF, and Mr. Arif Sudijanto, Head of Agency for the Standardizations of Environment and Forestry Instruments, and Mr. Mego Pinandito, Representative of Research and Innovation Agency, Indonesia. And also all distinguished participants. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. First of all, I would like to extend my gratitude for the committee for inviting GAPKI to join and speak in this prestigious event. And I'm here to replace Bapak Joko Supriyono, and also I would like to extend his apology for not being present today due to his another duty. I'm a bit nervous. Okay. As we are aware that the increasing world populations is always followed by the increase of the need for the food, and the availability of food to feed the world requires a good strategy so that the production process maintains a balanced environmental sustainability. And I think we also aware that in some countries, they are under the threat of famine, and therefore food crisis draw a special concern. And I think we are also aware now that we are facing a multiple crisis nowadays, that just recently after the COVID-19 pandemic in starting 2020, and then the recent Russian-Ukraine conflict has impacted the global economic, including the food and energy. And I think that this situation has caused many unwanted impact, including the energy demand, oil price shocks. So I think that we are now facing, and also the disruptions of the energy supply chains and the hampered energy investment, and many things that really become a concern. And we also aware that the vegetable oil is one of the source of food ingredients that need essentially so that the productions of them has become a concern to many parties, especially for the palm oil. Dear distinguished ladies and gentlemen, and I can say that the palm oil is one of the most potential vegetable oils that can be a solution to fulfill the need of world vegetable oil, as palm oil is the most effective and efficient in terms of yield and also land use. 1 hectare of palm oil can produce almost 6 to 8-fold of compared to other vegetable oils. And currently, oil palm plantations have been managed sustainability and are very concerned about the environment, such as no burning and also no deforestations, and required to have a good fire prevention and mitigations, sustainable pit management, reserving and maintaining high conservation value area. And what about the palm oil now? As you can see that in these presentations, that palm oil has been planted in Indonesia for more than a century, from the small gardens and become the big industry right now. And then it has provided welfare to the communities around the plantation area especially, and triggers multiplier effects on the regional economy. And I feel that I live in palm oil for a long time, and that palm oil has given life, prosperity, and a future to the communities, especially in the rural area. So this is something that we can say that palm oil is the most beloved one. And now we are ready to take an active role in mitigating climate change in the context of emissions, mitigations, and other sustainability initiatives. But we also facing that palm oil is the most hated one. Next slide, please. Okay. As you can see, so I think the presentation's like, not, okay, thank you. As you can see here, this is the profile of palm oil in Indonesia, and then this is how the palm oil contributes to the trade balance, and the red wine, as you can see from the presentations, that the export of palm oil, that it covers more than 17 billion US dollars. And this is the palm oil as commodity, and also the palm oil is coming from many ownerships from the smallholders. I think smallholders covers more than 40% of plantation in Indonesia. Next slide, please. And at the left one, so that you can see here that the palm oil entire supply chains from the plantations until food service. You can see here, and also this is the below one, the palm oil as SDG crops that provides jobs for estimated more than 16 million people in Indonesia. And palm oil farmers earn at least 7 times more than subsistence farmers. And I think this is the most productive vegetable oil in the world, as you can see in the illustrations below. Palm oil compared to rapeseed, soya, and other vegetable oils. Next slide. And now, I think now we need to think this more further and deep. How does palm oil contribute to the sustainable trades? I think this is the current sustainability issues that are now discussed by many people in the world. Okay, from today that this is the initiative of palm oil industry that we're really supporting the implementations of Indonesian Sustainable Palm Oil ISPO. And I also would like to congratulate Pak Herry Purnomo for the projects, but I don't see the ISPO in your presentation. And also, we are committed to no burning in land development, And we also supporting the deforestation initiative. I think that many big palm plantations in Indonesia have that initiative, no deforestation initiative. And as you can see from many studies that the deforestation related to palm oil has declined significantly. And also sustainable peat management and reserving and conservation area. And the last one is respecting human rights. Okay, next slide. How does palm oil contribute to mitigating the climate change? I think everybody now is talking about the climate change, and climate change has become a viral issue. Everybody wants to contribute to the mitigating, decreasing, declining the GHG emission level. And what are the challenges to the palm oil industry in mitigating the climate change? I think this issue now people is discussing, and I hope in this conference until this afternoon that will fulfill, will result in significant findings. Next slide. Next slide, please. So that's all my presentation today. So I hope this information will be able to enrich today's discussions. Thank you and good morning.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bandung Sahari. Ladies and gentlemen, now please welcome Dr. Musdhalifah Mahmood, the Deputy Director of Food and Agribusiness from Coordinating Ministry of Economic Affairs. Dr. Musdhalifah Mahmood, please, the time is yours.
Thank you, Moderator. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, Salam Kebajikan. First, allow me to extend my greetings to the Honorable Professor Dr. Herry Purnomo, CIFOR-ICRAF and IPB University, Dr. Robert Nasi, Director General of CIFOR, Professor Dr. Arif Satria, Rector of IPB University, Professor Dr. Burgess, Principal Investigator of GCRF Trade Hub and Chief Scientist of UNEP-WCMC, Dr. Laksana Trihandoko, Head of Research and Innovation Agency, Engineer Arif Sudijanto, Head of Agency for Standardization of Environment and Forestry Instruments, Ministry of Environment, Forestry, Indonesia, Dr. Bandung Sahari, representative from palm oil business, speakers, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen. Very good morning to all of you. I am delighted to give this keynote speech at this event on palm oil and environmental sustainability, facing food, climate, and energy crisis at the GCRF Trade Development and the Environment Hub, Trade Hub Policy Dialogue. As requested by the committee, the specific topic I will convey is related to the role of sustainable palm oil in Indonesia in global food and economic crisis. I would like to convey my appreciation to all parties that have jointly organized today in this dialogue, especially CIFOR-ICRAF, IPB University, University of Indonesia Research Center for Climate Change, and UK Research and Innovation Global Challenges Research Fund, UK GCRF. Ladies and gentlemen, the main theme of this dialogue is of sheer importance, especially amidst the ongoing global condition known as the perfect storm of 5C, namely COVID-19, conflict, Russia-Ukraine, which disrupt the supply chains, climate change, commodity prices, and cost of living. High inflation, interest rate spikes, together with the surge in food and energy prices and disruption in the supply and trade of agricultural commodities have indeed created enormous changes. World Bank estimates that for each 1 percentage point increase in food prices, 10 million people are thrown into extreme poverty worldwide. UN World Food Programme states that skyrocketing food prices may cause 323 million people globally to become acutely food insecure or at high risk. Facing the threat of a food crisis, Indonesia has a fairly strong foundation. The agricultural sector contributed quite well to Indonesia's economic growth in the second quarter of 2022, which reached 5.44%, continuing the previous positive trend of economic growth. In the midst of the threat of food crisis, we should be grateful for the resilient agricultural food system and rice self-sufficiency toward 2019 to 2021 through the use of rice innovation technology from the International Rice Research Institute, or IRI, which illustrates that the food security systems and agricultural system in Indonesia continues to improve. Distinguished participants, amidst the crisis, ensuring the availability, accessibility, and affordability of agricultural commodities in the global market, including vegetable oils, should become one of our main focuses. While market disruption is the issue of this day, some major concerns in the vegetable oil market have persisted over the years, that including sustainability of agricultural production and the need for a non-discriminatory multilateral trading system. Taking into account the growing global population and widespread use of vegetable oil in various industries, it is predicted that the size of the global market for vegetable oils will increase from 199.1 million metric tons in 2020 to 258.4 million metric tons by 2026. As such, it is important to ensure the continuity of enough supply of vegetable oils to the global market to prevent further price volatility and shocks to the global economy. Indonesia is able to produce 40% of the world's total vegetable oil. Based on results, producing 1 ton of palm oil only requires 0.3 hectares of land. Palm oil has strategic value because it is an important raw material for sharing global industries. The Indonesian palm oil industry has an important role in the Indonesian economy. Export of palm oil products are aimed at more than 125 countries in the world and have been used of various purposes, both for food, energy, and various other downstream industries. Palm oil is also the vegetable oil which has biggest downstream commodity compared to other commodity. The oil palm plantation sector contributes to the absorption of more than 17 million households, farmers, and employees who work in the on-farm and off-farm sectors. The palm oil industry is a strategic sector of the community economy that needs to be controlled not only by the government but also by all stakeholders of Indonesian palm oil. Ladies and gentlemen, we need to strengthen palm oil's competitiveness to gain these opportunities. Wider market recognition of our sustainability commitment is what we desire. Constructive dialogue with consumer and even other vegetable oil competing producers would be of crucial importance. On a side note, sustainable farming cannot be decoupled from tech innovation, while it is essential to increase investment in innovation. I would also like to remind you that skills improvement and training are equally important for smallholders to realize sustainable production. Currently, some sustainability certification standards have been adopted by some producing countries. These frameworks, such as the Indonesia Sustainable Palm Oil, or ISPO, Malaysia Sustainable Palm Oil, or we call MSPO, and Roundtable on Sustainable Palm Oil, or RSPO. Therefore, we must encourage sustainable scheme through a holistic, fair, non-discriminatory, and balanced approach between political, economic, and social aspects within the framework of 2030 SDGs. As one of the world's main producers and exporters of palm oil, Indonesia continues to attach great importance to ensuring sustainability across its vegetable oil sector. Moreover, as a roadmap for sustainable palm oil, Indonesia has implemented various regulations, such as the Presidential Regulation number 44 of 2020 on Indonesia Sustainable Palm Oil Certification, and the Presidential Instruction number 6 of 2019 concerning the National Action Plan for Sustainable Palm Oil 2019 to 2024. This ISPO certification is mandatory for all types of palm oil plantation, such as smallholders, state-owned companies, and private companies, and is aimed to increase international market acceptance of our sustainable palm oil product. The National Action Plan consists of series of programs and activities that 14 agencies are mandated to implement in 4 years to come, aiming for balancing socio-economic development and environmental conservation. The implementation of ISPO certification has a strategic role in achieving the 12 Sustainable Development Goals in 2030, including no poverty, decent work and economic growth, reducing inequalities, responsible consumption, life on land, affordable and clean energy, climate action, gender equality, good health and well-being, and also peace, justice, and strong institutions. Government policies in a force to deal with climate change have been carried out by the government, including implementation of the achievement of Sustainable Development Goals, low carbon development planning, implementation of commitment to achieve emission reduction, large target in the National Determined Contribution, and Sustainable Finance Roadmap, which is now in its second phase for 2021-2025. Indonesia is committed to accelerating clean energy transition through biodiesel policy to achieve zero net emission, and it is estimated that the use of B30 may potentially reduce greenhouse gas emission by 24.6 million tons of CO2. This will also boost Indonesia's goal to achieve its energy security and energy mix target of 3% by 2025. Ladies and gentlemen, Indonesia will continue to promote the important role of sustainable agriculture particularly the role of palm oil in the global food system and achieve SDGs in various fora, including through in its G20 chairmanship. Before concluding, I would like to thank to all speakers, distinguished guests, and participants for attending this dialogue. My sincere thanks also to CIFOR-ICRAF and IPB University. Lastly, I truly hope that today's dialogue then facilitate fruitful discussions and inspire all participants to believe that palm oil in Indonesia play a crucial role in the global food and economic crisis. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.